All right. What I'd like to do is talk a little bit about industry ratios. Specifically, I want to talk about how do you get this information into the financial spreadsheet to analyze a company. Now, industry ratios come from a book in our library. It's called the Risk Management Association. It's there by year. So when you obviously you want to go in and get the most frequent, or not the most frequent, the most recent publication. But once you get that publication, don't necessarily worry about when your company's fiscal year end is. This thing actually goes over like a it's a full year's information, but it goes from 2013 through 2014. So if you have a fiscal year end in either one of those years, you would be okay as far as analyzing a company. So the spreadsheet, right, the financial statement analysis worksheet in the workbook that I've provided for you has a place to put data. And here I only have 2 years listed in dates, but when you do the 5 years for a company, all 5 years will be identified there. And of course, you need to enter the data. So these yellow boxes are all boxes that take the data that you input, and then we're going to analyze that with the data that's calculated above in the financial analysis spreadsheet. Now, a couple of things. This particular publication doesn't show net income, which is net income is earnings available for common shareholders divided by divided by common equity. I'm sorry. But if you look down here, they use EBT. So that's why I use in parentheses here, or these quotes. EBT divided by total assets it's approximately the return on assets. It's not exactly, it's approximate. Likewise with ROE. This is an approximation. So when your book is talking about return on equity, it's talking about this particular ratio. But again, the difference between this ratio and ROE, for lack of a better word, the legitimate or true return on equity for the company, is taxes. Right? They subtract out the taxes to get the net income. That's the difference between these things. And likewise, EBT divided by sales is equivalent to the net profit margin of the company. So again, we will utilize all of these ratios, but quite frankly, sometimes in financial analysis, you have to use what's given to you. So you've had an assignment to go out and find your company's NAICS number. From that NAICS number, you've been asked to go out and gather a couple of pages from that publication. And when you look at those pages, this is just a subsection of that page, but you'll see that there are on one side, on the, I believe it's the even number pages, there are 3 columns. And on the other side, on the other page, there's 2 columns over here. That's the data that we want to use. So where I'm starting is halfway down the page, you'll see something that says ratios. And I'm sorry, this didn't copy very well, but you'll see the ratios. And what I'd like you to do is to input these acronyms for the ratios that we're going to use. So current is CR for current ratio. Quick is QR for quick ratio. DSO is the sales divided by receivables. DCI is days carry inventory. DPO is the cost of sales divided by payables, or the days payables outstanding. Now what you'll notice is that there's 3 columns. These are 3 years. This is the most recent year. The number we want to use is the number that's in the middle. That's the median or the average for the industry. So that's the number you'll input in the spreadsheet. Now when we get to these sales numbers, you'll see there's actually 2 columns per year. The first one, the lighter typed one, is the turnover ratio. That's not the ratio that we're going to use. That number is converted into a day's number. So it's the dark print numbers are the ones we're going to use for these 2 ratios. And of course, again, you use the one in the middle. The next series of ratios down the page, you'll just start, here's that DPO that we just talked about. You skip a box, then we have times interest earned. This is the, that's an error, sorry. This is fixed assets divided by net worth. This is the debt equity ratio, return on equity, return on assets, the fixed asset turnover ratio, and the total asset turnover ratio. So now we have an understanding of what ratios you need that are provided specifically. Now we need to go another step further. We have to look at another set of ratios, and there are 4 more that are important. Under the income data, we have the profitability ratios. The second one down here is the gross profit margin. Then we have the operating profit margin. And this bottom box, that's that EBT, profit before taxes. In addition to that, there's one other ratio that you do have to do a calculation. We need the debt ratio. The formula for the debt ratio is total debt divided by total assets. Well, we don't have that calculation here. We don't have that number to add up here. So what we can do is just take net worth, because there's either debt or net worth on the right-hand side. So this ratio, 33.4%, is the equity divided by total assets. So what's the percentage of assets that are purchased by shareholder money? We don't want that number. We want the percentage that's purchased with creditor money. So if you subtract that from 100, you would get the debt ratio. So in this case, 33.4, we would have a number of 66.6 would provide the debt ratio for the most recent years. Again, this part of the exercise is not all that difficult. You fill in the numbers and ultimately you'll get the answers. Now, make sure that some of them have the right signs, right? So we have, some of these have percentages and most of them don't. So the profitability ratios are percentages. These 3 ratios at the top are percentages. But everything else is identified as something called times, right? Or it has a specific definition. The days sales outstanding is the average number of days that accounts receivable are on the books. So that's the process for getting industry ratios into the financial statement analysis process, if you will.